and welcome. You're watching a special telecast on NewsX with me, Megha Sharma. Tomorrow at 5 p.m, NewsX will release the Bharat Pulse survey. 27 questions to gauge the pulse of the country. We have conducted 5 extensive surveys in the past 1 week, and there are thousands of Indians that have answered our surveys on the future of India, on governance, on politics, foreign policy and the new age. A version of this survey also exists on social media microblogging platform X, which is an open opinion poll that our viewers can take. Let me explain to you how this survey can be taken. So here are the questions on our social media platform. You can go to the NewsX social media platform @NewsX, and once you are on the NewsX page, these are the survey questions. This is in fact the Bharat Pulse survey on NewsX, survey number 1, and this survey focuses on India's growth story. So question number 1 over here that we ask people who are taking the poll is, how do you think India is progressing as a country overall? There are 4 options, one of which can be picked by the person who is taking the survey. The 4 options include excellent, good, average and poor. So up until now, there have been several hundreds and hundreds of people who have been casting their vote. There are 19 hours remaining, so we would encourage our viewers to go on our social media platform on X and take the survey. Question number 2 on survey number 1, what is your future outlook for India? Very positive, positive, neutral or negative. Question number 3, how has your family income changed in the past 1 year? It has gone up, is option number 1. Option number 2 remains same. Option number 3 gone down. How happy are you with your life is question number 4. The 4 options are very happy, happy, neutral, unhappy. Question number 5 in survey number 1 is, do you think India will become developed by 2047? The 4 options, yes, no, maybe and can't say. So these are the 5 questions in survey number 1, which is survey number 1 about India and India's growth story and the growth story of the people of India. Let's take a look at survey number 2, which focuses on governance. Question number 1, how would you rate the performance of the Modi government with 4 options, excellent, good, average, poor? Survey number 2, governance. Question number 2, the question is infrastructure like roads, rails and electricity in India improving? The 3 options are yes, no, maybe. Question number 3 in survey number 2 on governance is, what would you like to see the union government prioritize? Is it going to be tax cuts, air pollution, health facilities or security? Question number 4 in survey number 2 is, what was the most impactful achievement of 2025? Was it India's 4th largest GDP, Operation Sindoor, GST cuts or the Mahakumbh organization? Question number 5 in survey number 2 is, are you concerned about illegal migrants living in India? The 3 options are yes, no or maybe. Question number 6 is, should India increase the number of members of parliament? The 3 answers, the 3 options are yes, no or maybe. And after answering these 3 questions, after taking this survey, survey number 2, governance, let's move on to survey number 3. Survey number 3 focuses on the politics of the country. The question number 1 in the survey is, who has been the most effective Prime Minister of India? Is it Narendra Modi, Indira Gandhi, Atal Bihari Vajpayee or Jawaharlal Nehru? So those are your 4 options. Survey number 2. Survey number 3, politics. Question number 2, who is the most effective current opposition leader? Is it Rahul Gandhi, Mamata Banerjee, M.K. Stalin or Arvind Kejriwal? Moving on to question number 3 in the survey, who do you think will form the union government in 2029? Is it going to be the BJP with full majority? Is it going to be BJP-led NDA alliance? Is it going to be the Indian National Congress with full majority, or is it going to be the Indian National Congress-led alliance? Question number 4 in the survey. Would you like to see Narendra Modi contest the 2029 elections? The 4 options are yes, no, maybe, and can't say. Question number 5 in survey number 3, focusing on India's politics. Which of these opposition leaders is a possible future PM? Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi, Mamata Banerjee, Arvind Kejriwal. These are the 4 options for the people who are taking the survey. Let's move on to survey number 4. Survey number 4 in the Bharat Pulse survey of NewsX focuses on foreign policy. Question number 1 in this survey is, has India's global stature gone up? The 3 options are yes, no, can't say. Question number 2, who is a better friend of India? US, Russia, China, or Japan? Question number 3, should Prime Minister Narendra Modi mediate a settlement between Russia and Ukraine? The 4 options are yes, no, maybe, or can't say. Question number 4, do you think foreign forces like George Soros are trying to influence affairs in India? The 3 options are yes, no, or can't say. Question number 5, what is the most serious international issue? The 4 options are Trump tariffs, Bangladesh crisis, Pakistan-backed terrorism, or Ukraine. Question number 6 and the final question in survey number 4 is, why do you think the new Bangladeshi establishment is being hostile towards India? The 4 options are genuine issues with India, China-Pakistan influence, American influence, none of the above. After the survey number 4 on foreign policy, we move on to survey number 5, which is the new age. Question number 1, are you considering buying an electric scooter or car? The 3 options are yes, no, or maybe. Question number 2, are you considering rooftop solar? Yes, no, maybe are the 3 options. Question number 3, have you or anyone you know been a target of digital scam? The 2 options are yes or no. And question number 4 is, are you concerned about air pollution? With the 3 options yes, no, and maybe. Final question in survey number 5 is, are you using artificial intelligence in your work or personal life? So those are the 5 surveys that NewsX is conducting. You have 19 hours left to participate in this survey. You go online, you log on to your X account, go to the NewsX page, that is at NewsX, and take that survey, the 5 surveys, which is the Bharat Pulse survey. Let's open up this discussion. I am being joined by Priya Sehgal. She is the editorial director of NewsX. Priya, let's hear it from you with regards to the 5 big topics that we have picked, whether it is about the new age, the foreign policy, we talk about governance, or we talk about politics. These are all important areas that give us a sum total of the development that has happened, or the evolution of India that has taken place, and what the future holds for the country in 2026.
Exactly. The topics are well chosen, Megha. I think you've done a pretty comprehensive take at all the issues that are dominating in terms of domestic politics, foreign politics, issues of the day. And also, I like the way we are taking a look forward, the new age issues. Those are also very important. So this is, I think, a survey that will appeal to the youth, to the people with the nostalgia who have a lived experience. I think it covers all the areas. I would really be interested to know, a couple, being a political buff myself, the politics section really, Megha, is what made me very interested, especially the answer to the best prime minister, because we've had this Nehru versus Modi debate going on for the past decade. So I think it will be good to get some kind of an answer to that one. Standard of living, priorities, again, those are very important issues, especially the ones, whether it is air pollution or tax cuts. I think those are going to be issues that are much debated in the drawing rooms and on social media. So I think those are also very good, important issues. Foreign politics, Trump tariffs, the Ukraine war, Bangladesh. I think in terms of that, we've done a pretty comprehensive thing. I think we may have missed out something on sports, but apart cricket, because that's the other thing on the blockbuster of the year. Apart from that, I think we've covered everything. So well done. I'm really looking forward to the answer to the surveys tomorrow.
Absolutely. And just to mention this to our viewers and to you, Priya, we did do a year-ender India's progress report, and of course sports was front and center. Whether we talked about the Indian cricket team in the women's championship that was won by our very courageous, very smart, very hard-working, determined women in cricket, or for that matter, the blind women's team that brought laurels to the country. And of course, that goes without saying that the ICC World Cup men's cricket tournament, the trophy was won by our men in blue. All right, I'm going to focus on, survey number 1, India, and Joyita is also on the telecast with me. Joyita, let's hear it from you with regards to India, its report card, how it is moving forward, the kind of progress it has made, the questions we are asking. Do you think India as a country has progressed overall and the options are excellent, good, average, poor? We've also questioned about the future outlook. What do you think is the future outlook? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it neutral? Talking about an individual's family income, whether it has gone up or it is down, or is it remained the same? Or for that matter, the happiness index, are you happy with your life? Are you content with it? And talking about the 2047 mission of Prime Minister Modi and the ruling government that we are going to be developed. Do you really see this happening, this being realized in the next 30 years? What do you make of the progress that has been done by the country in the last 1 year, and does it set the template for the years to come?
Well, Megha, while these are very important questions, I do wonder, because instead of 1 year, because you see, it's very difficult to quantify progress inside a year, perhaps it would have been better to talk about 5 years or at least a decade. And since you're talking about this government's performance in particular, it should have taken into account right from 2014 about how life was before 2014 and what kind of changes have come in after 2014, because I personally think that would have given a better idea of the mood of the country. And I mean, after all, we are all political people, and especially being journalists, we all want to know what's happening in the political arena, and I'm certain even politicians would like to know what people are thinking in terms of governance. So in terms of, if you're looking at quantifiable terms, just 1 year perhaps be a little tough, unless we are speaking specifically of moves like the that particular about the GST rationalization has happened, because in the last 1 year the most important thing that has happened is GST rationalization, and that I think if people have that on top of their minds, obviously in terms of income going up, the government's performance, a lot of it will be kind of based on that, and of course Operation Sindoor. So these are the two things that will be determining the answers primarily. And I was also looking at, the issues and all, because at one particular place you're talking also about what are the most important issues, where air pollution takes up more perhaps important, it becomes a more important issue, but that's a seasonal factor. Because you see, right now everybody is talking about air pollution, it's but natural. People will be talking about, air pollution being the gravest problem facing India. Well, the thing is that, you see, while it needs to be definitely improved, but I think there are far more important issues as well. So you see,
okay.
I mean, otherwise I would say overall, I would say the questions are very good.
Okay, coming back to you, Priya, and when we talk about governance, interesting options that have been given with regards to what would you like the government to prioritize, whether it's tax cuts. Mind you, we will be having our budget that is going to be rolled out in a month's time. Air pollution, again a perennial problem for Delhi and regional and neighboring places, but it has now also expanded to Kolkata and Mumbai. So this sort of has become a national problem as well, at least in areas, cosmopolitan cities, metros in our country. health facilities and security. But and then there's also about the impactful achievement of the government of India in 2025, whether it was, you know, the fourth largest GDP, was it Operation Sindoor that resonated with the people of the country, was it GST cuts or the Mahakumbh organization? What do you think people's choices are going to be?
I think, Megha, really, if you're looking at a mass choice, it's what affects your pocket, what affects the individual homes, really. Operation Sindoor, yes, it's a nationalism issue. Nobody's going to say it doesn't affect. But really, what makes a difference to your own homes and own pockets, those will take priority. So I would say tax cut and the GST cut are really the most important issues because, the health, they've rolled out the Ayushman Bharat scheme. I don't know how effective it is on the ground. We are hearing anecdotal and data evidence of some success stories. But at the end of the day, the GST cut saw an immediate reaction from people. It happened on the near Diwali time. You could see the sales figures going up. You could see the happiness index going up. And so I think that immediately puts money into their pocket. So that GST cut, I think, was a smart move and much needed. Actually, it's really sad. We are saying an achievement of the government, or what is they're actually correcting a mistake that they made. Who asked them to roll out such a complicated GST structure that nobody could understand? It was so unwieldy and such high rates. So I think good they had the sagacity and the wisdom, and they did the course correction. Full marks to them for that. So I'm happy with the GST cut, and I would say same premise, tax cuts would be good, and actual tax cuts, not give with one hand and take away with the other, because they give you some cut and they levy so many cesses on you at the end of the day that your income is, to answer your next question, your income is exactly where it was. I don't think anybody's income has really gone up. Notionally, yes, but in terms of actuality, when you see the amount of spending power you have, nothing. That hasn't gone up, and in fact, it has gone down. So that is one thing I hold against the current thing. Even in terms of, a lot of figures of growth, it's all jobless growth. So the economy remains the Achilles heel of this government. In whichever question you take, I would, hold them responsible for that. Apart from that,
there could be any surprises and good surprises that could be announced by the government? Also, the elections coming up in several states. Any surprises that you at this point in time are expecting?
Megha, unfortunately, what's happening during elections is they announce these welfare schemes at the last minute, and that's how they, end up also, getting a lot of the votes coming in. The welfare schemes for women, welfare schemes for various sections of society. Each party does that, but the government, the party in power, because they are in power, they have more, the facility to dole it out immediately. So no surprises for you and me. We are the ones who are going to be paying for the welfare scheme, Megha. The politicians will announce it. You and I are going to be sitting and paying for it. So no, I don't hold much. In fact, the budgets, I have not been happy with any of these budgets in the last 10 years that the government has announced. They've just been, course correcting. In terms of actual benefits, I have not seen anything really on the ground. All they've done is increase the taxes. Capital gains tax has gone up. Various taxes have gone up, really, and then they say we are a pro-middle class. I really fail to see where they've been pro-middle class. Or, it's just been dole outs. Welfare schemes, which are good, yes, but your whole politics can't be based on welfare schemes, Megha, at the end of the day.
Okay. All right. Moving on to survey number 3 that we did on the politics of the country. Very, very interesting questions that have been asked of the people who take our poll. The question number 1 that I would want to highlight over here is, we have asked the people, would you like to see Narendra Modi contest the 2029 elections? That's interesting. And then also talking about whether the BJP would be able to form the government with full majority come 2029. It's a long way to go, but we are, there at this point in time, momentum is needed to be built over there, especially in waking up the opposition, waking up the Congress, and then also talking about the most effective opposition leader. And do you think choices are going to be divided, opinions are going to be divided, Joyita, whether it is Rahul Gandhi, Mamata Banerjee, M.K. Stalin or Arvind Kejriwal?
Well, I think, first of all, Arvind Kejriwal right now, the way he is irrelevant on the national stage. In fact, he is irrelevant, becoming increasingly irrelevant even in Delhi, and forget about Punjab. I'm certain the Punjab Chief Minister does not want him anywhere near Punjab. So I don't think the question of Arvind Kejriwal arises, but yes, there will be a lot of interest in terms of between Rahul Gandhi choices, ultimately going to be between Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, primarily because, and you see, it all Priyanka Gandhi Vadra is of course a recent inductee into parliament, so there's a lot of interest in her in terms of social media. Also, if you look at media, and the cameras kind of follow her, so it is but natural when you're looking at it from an average voter's perspective, the average person's perspective. I think the choice will ultimately be between Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra. Mamata Banerjee, no, because you see, whatever goodwill she had, she has lost that goodwill, pan India goodwill, whatever little bit she enjoyed, she has lost with her very divisive politics and the kind of rhetoric that has been coming out from Bengal, and this serious fear of demographic change that people are talking about, that has hit a mainstream chord. So, no, Mamata Banerjee is a no. Stalin, the problem, there is a language problem to have him as a pan-India figure. And but then you never know. It all depends on coalition, how coalition politics works out in this country. But right now, again, I'm going to go back to saying, given the choices that you have, the choices that you have, it's ultimately the races between Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra.
Yeah, Priya, response from you, especially with regards to what happened in the last few weeks, especially after the winter session of the parliament completed, and we saw those very nice cordial pictures between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, and comparisons were made when Rahul Gandhi skipped that last interaction after the previous session got over, and here we saw Priyanka Gandhi Vadra sharing a cup of tea and also had that meeting with Nitin Gadkari. So that really brought her in focus.
Absolutely, Megha. If you ask me, the political debut of the year is Priyanka Gandhi Vadra. She is a novice, first-time politician, as Joyita said. But what an amazing debut. We've been hearing her on the campaign trail, but first time we saw her in Parliament, she's been taking on the Prime Minister and the Home Minister with great aplomb. She speaks the rhetoric and the way she conducts herself in Parliament, and she's giving as good as she gets. And then she had that maturity to sit down for a cup of tea with the Prime Minister that you mentioned. Nitin Gadkari, one can still say, he is the most amiable person really, in the BJP in that sense. But to sit with the Prime Minister and the Home Minister, with whom she has really, the Gandhis have a very acrimonious relationship with them, to have a cup of tea, make small talk. She had them all laughing, smiling. It was a very, this is the kind of politics that even Narendra Modi himself, Prime Minister Modi himself practices. So in that sense, she is meeting him at his level, sitting there and, having a conversation. We always, have a lot of debates on how it's so acrimonious between the government and the opposition. Why don't they talk to each other? Well, here's an example of someone who can talk. You need to talk. Otherwise, how do you do your business of governance and legislation? You can't just be like Rahul Gandhi's attitude is very childish. Just to refuse to talk or to boycott meetings or, just disappear somewhere. That's not how you do politics. You meet your opponent head on, and, behind, I'm sure a lot of some ice has been broken. That's not to say that, Priyanka and the Prime Minister are really, I'm sure next Parliament session, you'll see her taking on the Prime Minister again, and he's also going to be taking her on. But beyond Parliament, there is a political niceties, and I was happy to see that happening.
Absolutely. Moving on to foreign policy, very important questions asked. First of all, India's global stature. Prime Minister Narendra Modi making these multiple trips across the globe. We also had Operation Sindoor and the narrative that was set by India, members of parliament, ambassadors who were sent all across 32 countries to send the message of the global fight against terrorism can be fought only when countries can be united. So that resonated with people all across the globe. When we also talk about India's better friend, is it United States of America or Russia? And we also spoke about, whether India and Prime Minister Modi need to get itself involved in.
It is definitely a change in terms of foreign policy, that from being, I would say, conciliatory towards Pakistan, we have definitely moved on to a situation where Pakistan is not going to get, I would say, it cannot escape from the implications of a terrorist attack. So it has been a very, at one point level, I would say, a very hard line, very forthright kind of a foreign policy. But at the same time, when you look at the neighborhood, is you see what is actually disturbing a lot of us, in fact, all foreign policy experts, is that the influence of China in particular, and in terms of roiling the neighborhood. If you look at our West Pakistan, look at our East Bangladesh, is a major pain point, right? I mean, not pain point. I mean, if you talk to experts, they say they call Bangladesh a nuisance, but it has the potential to become a problem.
Right.
So, and of course, then we have to deal with Mr. Trump. You know, I mean, the way geopolitics in particular, if you're looking at it just in the, I mean, you know, in the span of 1 year, you see the maximum change that has happened foreign policy wise, it has happened in the 1 year, last 1 year. You know, this is one particular area, not in any other area. 1 year primarily because of the very disruptive figure of Donald Trump. But then this is not just India's problem, it is the whole world's problem.
Yeah.
The way he has been functioning, the way he is America's problem now. You know, he's not just our problem. So as a result of which, you see, I mean, things have gone to the extent that it is being said that India will have to sit out Trump's term. So I think there is going to be some sort of a limbo in the next couple of years, as long as 2-3 years, as long as Mr. Trump is in power. So tough times definitely for India, but at the same time, diversifying the relationship, multilateralism, that's the way forward, and India is pursuing that.
Okay, and quickly, Priya, before I wrap this up, survey number 5, talking about new age, talking about artificial intelligence, going electric, going green, using solar power panels on your rooftops. So all those are important questions, important changes that need to be brought in, and we are quickly seeing that, you know, not just tier 1, tier 2 cities, but even tier 3 cities are at this point of time adopting the green way in buying electric vehicles, electric scooters, electric cars. So do you think this transformation is possible in the next 5 years, that the country goes fully electric?
Well, a lot depends on how much support we get in terms of infrastructure and in terms of the cost. You know, they need to first rationalize that. The infrastructure for the electric cars is still not really in place, especially in smaller towns. So I would wait and see that. I would really hope they pay more emphasis on public transport also. That's also the need of the more people, build more public transport, get more people to use before you go electric, because that's really a step away. But yes, I think it's been good steps. Let's see what they do in terms of infrastructure before I answer your question, Megha, on that one. So I'll go with a maybe.
Okay. All right then. Thank you very much, Priya and Joyita, for joining us. This is a curtain raiser for the Bharat Pulse survey. The results are going to be released only on NewsX tomorrow, so stay tuned. And in the meantime, you have about 18 hours now. All you have to do is go on your X platform, go to @NewsX and take the 5 surveys. There's survey number 1 on India, survey number 2 on governance, survey number 3 on politics, survey number 4 on foreign policy, and finally survey number 5 on the new age. Thanks for watching NewsX.